Hi there, welcome to the halftime huddle. We are halfway through the week. For those of you who have stumbled upon this either in the replay or on live, which is welcome to you if you are on live. This is the halftime huddle. We go live every Wednesday, halfway through the week, hump day for those people who know what I'm talking about. It's the time when you're actually think, oh my goodness, I had all these plans for the week. What the hell's going on? And that's the opportunity for us to spend a bit of a time, take a breath. If you're into sporting sort of thing, it's the time when halfway through the football game, the coach comes on with your little orange segments and you can take a breath ready for the next second half. So I've been trying to get more people onto chat. So I'm lucky to have a great person and we're going to have a wonderful conversation. Alan Braithwaite from Yellow Tuxedo, co-founder. And I'm looking forward to a conversation. We've had some conversation beforehand, and we do what I always do is we have some great conversations before we come on live. So hopefully we'll continue with that when we come on. So without dithering too much, let's welcome Alan. Hi, Alan.
Good morning, afternoon, Mark. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, just in time, just afternoon. So you're okay with saying good morning.
Yeah. So, your event after you.
No. Go for it. Like I said, we did what I always do. We were having a conversation beforehand that I think, oh damn, we need to go on live. So here we are live. It's been great to talk to you, and I love to see you in your yellow. You're always in yellow. Do you ever wear something that's not yellow?
Yeah, I do actually, and not that often. But I the yellow thing's not just a business thing. It's my color. I chose it years ago when I was about 18 years old, and so it has always stuck with me. But it then evolved for many reasons, which you might want to get to at some point into the business. But it just makes life simpler. Like I don't need to think about what to buy, and I'm not good at buying clothes, so it's like, well, hold on, do you have anything yellow? Yes, no. And sometimes I just order, I got a load of Yellow Tuxedo t-shirts made with different things on the front. And that was so simple because I didn't even have to go into a shop. I just went online, ordered some t-shirts, they all turn up. That's my wardrobe for the next few months.
Brilliant. I love that idea. And you're so right. We are going to get into that because obviously I like to start very much on the where people start, which is their origin story, and presumably we will hear a little bit about your penchant for yellow when we come and talk about that. So so take it away. Why a Yellow Tuxedo, and why you do what you do at Yellow Tuxedo? So how did you get to it? So
well, I don't. Does everyone have an origin story like this? I presume so in my head. But we years and years ago. Well, okay. There's a couple of parts to it. I'll start with the yellow. So when I was younger, sort of late teenager, I wanted a favorite color. I don't really do favorites. I just think there's too much out there, too much choice and variation. So to choose one thing like a favorite film or an album or a favorite band, I always found quite tricky, especially in the 90s when it was all about stuff like that. So one day I just woke up and went, no, I want a favorite color. And I chose yellow. Interestingly, at the time, it was because I felt it was gender neutral plus very, very happy, and sunshine and all those other things, which is why I chose yellow. And it just stuck. And I've got pictures of me on birthday parties wearing yellow shirt and ties and stupid things like that. And then in a conversation with a mate once, this is all about why we exist now, right? It started a long time ago. In a conversation with a mate once, I talked about getting married and said, oh, I'm never getting married. It's well overrated. But if I do, I'm going to wear a yellow suit, to sort of make a mockery of it, but also personalize it. Fast forward many, many years, and I met Emily, and Emily and I got engaged. And I tell him a friend, and I'd kind of forgotten all this. And he messaged me back going, oh, so I take it you'll be wearing a yellow suit. And I was like, I'd kind of forgotten about that. My desires, my late teenage desires to make a mockery of getting married are long gone. but my sort of desire to stand out, etc., was still there. So I thought, yeah, no, stuff it. I spoke to Emily first and said, "Can do you right if I have a yellow suit at my wedding, our wedding?" And she was like, "Yeah, of course," and which is then a story in itself. So I'll cover that one quickly because I always think that's a funnier part of the story. So started Googling where to buy a yellow suit. And basically, unless you wanted to look like The Mask, Jim Carrey, it was quite tricky. So eventually found someone from a chap who was from Hong Kong, who was in the UK, and he would measure you up and you choose your colors. And he had yellow on that color palette. And then it would go back to Hong Kong, be made for you, and then posted over. So I said, "Oh, yes, please. I'd like a suit." And he said, "Come to the Holiday Inn Express Reading, room 350. Don't speak to reception. Just come straight up to the room. The door will be open." So Emily and I drove to Reading one day, did that, feeling like absolutely like we were doing something bad and dodgy, and went up, pushed open the door, and on bed was all these color swatches. I was like, okay, like it feels I haven't been kidnapped yet, so so far so good. And then we chose the colors. I chose my yellow suit and the style and everything. And then he said, "Oh, I need some pictures of you with your top off, so we can make sure that the cut's right." So I'm like, okay. So I took my top off. Why would I ask questions? I'm taking my top off. And he took some pictures of me and more measurements. And it's like, right, now we pay. I need to swipe your credit card. So and then he said, "Oh, it will turn up in the post." So as we're walking away, I'm like, I like to think I'm quite kind of good in these situations, but fundamentally, I've just paid someone for them to take pictures of me with my top off. And we're kind of hoping that a suit's going to turn up in the post in a couple of weeks. And it did, actually. It randomly did. To this day, I'm still a bit shocked and surprised. So we got married, wore a yellow suit, blah, 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 blah. And then eventually decided to start a business, actually not that long after the wedding. And it wasn't the first. Sorry, our first business was something different, and then eventually we started this one, and we knew it was right for Yellow Tuxedo because yellow suit just doesn't sound as good. So we reframed it to Tuxedo, which flows better. And and like our bread and butter is online visibility specialists, but it's not about that. It's about being people. It's about connecting with people. It's about making sure people know who you are, know where to find you, making the most of the business you've got, and we teach people black and white stuff. We teach people, some SEO principles, some content principles, and we work with them, all of this, to build this online ecosystem that is the foundations for what you then do with your business. So then anything you then do after you've set all that up works hard for you, so because what you don't want to do is go through the effort of creating a website, content, email, newsletter, opt-ins, and they're just kind of all sitting there looking pretty, which is what happens quite a lot with small business owners and solopreneurs. So we show people basically how to get all of that stuff working a bit harder for them out on the internet. So that's what we do. And along the lines, we sort of have a background in events. So we've brought our events background up because we like it. We like the people part. We love connecting with people. We like the opportunities that come for everyone who attends. So we have things like the Funpreneurs Big Day Out, which June 19th is the next one for our second year in a row now. We're taking a load of solopreneurs off to Poulton's Park for the day to really get to know each other. That's what it's about. It just happens we're going to Poulton's Park for it, getting them out of the conference suite. And so, that's what we do. We have a community called the Digital Circus where we work month in, month out with people to help them get that technical bit right, to help them with the confidence to go and create more content, how to position themselves, what to do next, and how to grow, and everything. And although we get called a digital marketing company, technically we're not, but we can kind of see why we get past it on that. But really we're about visibility. We're making sure you're seen, you stand out in your crowd. And that's not just by wearing yellow and going away like we do. It's actually making sure that you are appearing where people are looking for you.
Brilliant. I love the story. One of the things I found more and more when I do this is there's a lot more to someone's origin story than originally comes out in their about pages. I love the idea of you standing there with your top off, just saying, "Fair enough, take some photographs. I wonder where they're going to be on the internet."
Well, that's part of it. It's like I'm very good at kind of thinking, okay, what is the worst that can happen? The actual worst that can happen, not the perceived worst that can happen. And the actual worst that happens is there's a picture of me with my top off on the internet somewhere, and it's like, who cares, right? I didn't care. It's like I had nothing, and it's not. I don't even think that's about ego per se. I think that's just it's irrelevance, probably a better word, right? It just didn't matter to me. Others it may do, right? It didn't matter, and it's not. I don't have a supermodel body. I actually, without being funny, I look better with my top off now than I did kind of 12, 13 years ago, because I work out more than I did back then. But it's like, or I should say, I am happier with my top off, not I look better. Yeah, I don't know. It's just whatever, in for a penny, in for a pound, right?
No, indeed, and 9 times out of 10, things work out, don't they? They work out well, if
Absolutely.
not better than you expect.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You think, when you see kids in the park or whatever, and it's like they might fall, or they might not. They might not. They might do the best thing they've ever done that, brings them immense joy and kind of happiness. So it's like, let's see what happens and support these things rather than kind of just quashing them straight out.
Absolutely, absolutely, and to be honest, I sort of knew a little bit about the background of your story because I had seen pictures of you at your wedding pictures with you in your yellow suit. So I thought, aha, it must be around that about that. But like I said, to take that leap of faith to sneak up into a hotel to go and get
Well,
your
but then that's part of the like when we get to my book part. I mean, we might get to it beforehand. Part of my love is for the adventure, and part of adventure is almost letting go of what you want to happen and seeing what can happen. And inevitably, what can happen is probably better than what you think you want to happen, I feel. So yeah, it's just kind of enjoying the ride.
and I presume that's something you obviously I've seen from what I've seen of your videos and the way you work. That's what you try to get across to the people you work with is try it and see what happens. Be
Well,
visible. Be you.
yeah, well, exactly that. And I think, we're really big on business on your terms. And one of the things that bugs me is not the right word, but I guess it's more a case of there's a lot of noise out there. And a lot of that noise is about, you need to do this. You have to do this. You should do this if you want to achieve this. And really, most people's goals, we had a client who basically said, I just want to make enough money to take the family on holiday, right? And that was really quite a grounding thing for someone to say to us, because there's Emily and I with kind of loose desires of global domination and everything that comes with that. So to have this client who just wanted to learn the black and white stuff to help grow her business to the state size where she could make enough, actually just confirmed how different we all are. And when you factor in we're all different, therefore most of our goals will be different. So therefore most of how we want to get to there will be different. And the one we use is like, if you're, let's say we're driving to Scotland, Mark, you and I, we have the same goal to drive to Scotland. That's our goal. We have an aligned goal, or we have the same goal randomly because on this day we've both decided to drive to Scotland. You and I live in different places. We've got different vehicles. We've got different ways. You could fly, I could drive, you could train, I could fly. Or if we both end up driving, we could take different routes because I want to take the scenic route and you want to take the train. Okay. Oh, sorry, you want to take the motorway. But fundamentally, what the business part of that analogy is, we're both driving off our drive, or we're both leaving our house, sorry, and we're both going to Scotland. So that's our goal and where we are beginning, our A and our B. But how you get from A to B has to be based around what you want and what you need and what you want to do. So that's why the narrative and the noise is sometimes a bit too much, because it's got to be what you want. It's got to be business on your terms. That has to be the answer. Now, if you're lucky enough to meet some kind of coach, influencer, somebody who's telling you how to do it, where what you want aligns perfectly exactly with what they were telling you, then yeah, do exactly what they're saying. But for the rest of us, you have to take the bits you need and the bits that are right for you and everything else, really.
Yeah, and so like a little bit of a pick and mix. You find what works for you. Yeah, definitely, and especially and I love that idea when you're talking about doing it on your terms, because business is tough enough as it is, that if you're trying to do it because of you think someone else wants you to do it X, Y, and Z way, then it's just so much harder. And it's not enjoyable. Why would you do it when you can just go back and do something else?
It's true. It's so true. And you've got to enjoy it, right? Especially for a lot of the people we hang out with, if they're not enjoying it does actually, this does make me smile. For all of the people we hang out with, where it's clearly a passion business, they love what they do and everything else, I do feel there are equal amounts of businesses of people who just want to make a shed load of money and buy stuff off Alibaba and sell it on eBay. And there is the passion is making the money for them and the life they then lead. And I have to remember that, we have to remember how different this is. Not every business is a passion-led kind of project. Not everything is a that passion side hustle that you decide to go all in on. Some people just want to make a shed load of cash, and they do it by flipping furniture, flipping houses, buying stuff abroad and selling it online. And that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We just have to remember we're all different, and that's the most important part.
Yeah, and I would imagine even those, like you say, that their passion is making the shed loads of money. They're still in that passion, and they still to work hard and get to the stage where that thing is making sheds loads of money. You have to go through all kinds of convoluted ways of doing things, and if you haven't got the passion to carry on through that, then again you fall at the wayside.
Yeah, no, so true. But yes, all of that stuff, absolutely.
And like I said, so passion. For anybody to really make a go of their business, they have to have passion somewhere, whatever it is.
Oh, okay. That's an intro. Yeah, I think that, yeah, absolutely. But what they're passionate about, then, yes, of course, is the bit that's going to change. But then is there well, okay. No, I like to think about that, because I just feel there are some people who are just doing it, but then realistically, the passion will be because they want to change something in their life,
Yeah.
or they want to make more money. Yeah, not everyone's sitting there doing a rebrand and working on their brand values to align with their authentic vision and all the other stuff we all bang on about. But fundamentally, yeah, their passion is there somewhere. Love that.
No, absolutely, and you're right. I love this wheel bang about, but you are right. There's a lot of us spend a lot of time thinking, brand, get your why, do your ideal custom avatar, and you're right. Some people just, want
Well,
to make a lot of money.
no, it does, but it makes me smile.
Mhm.
Emily and I, we're very good at kind of what we call I dotting and T crossing when it comes to your online presence and everything else.
Mm.
Like that, even down to the yellow. Yes, I love yellow, but still fundamentally, it's an I dotting and a T crossing, right? Because it's like, okay, I'm in business mode. I now wear yellow type thing. But we pick clients up from the most random places through the most random conversations. We've had people off the school run that we've started a conversation with. And you think about my opt-in, my lead magnet, my email marketing, my content, this. And I'm like, no, we just had a conversation at the bus stop, and we got chatting, and they went, oh, that's really interesting. And all of a sudden there's a conversation about business. So yeah, it does make me smile. But actually, the most important thing probably is that passion, and to just keep open to the opportunities as and when they present themselves. Actually, I find that if we're going for a conversation, I find that tricky about business owners, and remembering we're all different. I find that tricky about people who switch off at the weekend and go, oh, I've had a tough week, I'm switching off this weekend, and I do at times. But I'm still, there's always this bit of me who's ready and kind of thinking Yellow Tuxedo or the business, and I think I find that one interesting, and I guess deep down I probably wish I could do that, but.
To be honest, I mean, in the same frame, really. I find it very difficult. I mean, I have a passion for what I want to do. I want to make it work. I want to help people. I want to support people. I want to do some things with my time. And like I said, my time is Monday through to Sunday, really, in that respect. I mean, I also have other things I need to do to enjoy a more balanced life and or without burnout. But generally, Monday through to Sunday is what I am, and what I am is just as much what I do as a business as the people I mix with in my family and the people I mix with and my friends down down the pub, down at whatever, etc. So I see you're right, and it
Well,
go on.
no, I think that's the bit that's interesting, isn't it? Because a lot of the people we hang out with are solopreneurs. Okay,
Mhm.
so it's just them, or not just. Should never say just them. It's them with their business,
Yeah.
and their main source of income is they are selling time for money, or they are looking to expand that in a way where it's less about time for money, and so they can make more money for less time. Brilliant, absolutely fantastic. But I'm always gobsmacked by how many seem to put themselves separate to their business. And I'm like,
Mm.
and it actually Instagram, I have this thing like LinkedIn forces you to lead with a personal brand without you realizing it. Okay. Whereas the other social platforms don't. So if I'm Alan Braithwaite and my business is Yellow Tuxedo, of course on LinkedIn I'm leading with Alan Braithwaite, but over on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, I'm leading with Yellow Tuxedo. So therefore, you naturally become a bit more of a business. And I find it fascinating because 9 times out of 10 or 99 times out of 100, you are your business. So it's interesting like to see that separation or that difference and how people don't always get their head around the fact it's them being them. So when you talk about you and your time across 7 days, that's kind of how I see it. That's why I'm happy talking about my running, and we share a bit of the kids here and there, or the chickens, or whatever else we get up to, because that is us and what we do. So find it interesting that there is sometimes a divide or a separation. Now, actually, someone did educate me properly on boundaries, because I was like, what's the point? Why would you have boundaries? It's all in, blended life, blah, blah, blah. But someone did, and you know what, Mark, I'm really sorry. I was about to deliver a proper moment then, but I can't remember what they did. But I do remember they positioned boundaries in such a way where it was the first time I went, okay, I get that now. Actually, I can even remember who it is, so I might even try and dig it out in a moment. So I'm going to do it.
No, indeed, and I understand, and generally, and this is me launching straight into a gender stereotype, but aren't men supposed to be better at boundaries anyhow? I supposedly.
Oh, I didn't know that. I've never heard that one.
I thought we were
Yeah.
but we were better at compartmentalizing ourselves, i.e., boundary. Um,
Uh,
but then again, that's like I said, that's
uh,
a gender stereotype, and I excuse everybody else who.
you are brave, Mark. I'm not.
I know. Like I said, the
Oh,
advantage to this is nobody's listening. So it's on the internet.
no,
Nobody's
there's
there.
two people watching.
Oh well, fair enough. Fair enough.
Um, I don't know. Look, that is vaguely familiar. I don't mind. I think if we're talking like a suggestion for a gender thing, I think you're okay. But that is vaguely familiar. But I don't know. I don't know. We're all different, aren't we? And I
Yeah,
think isn't that
absolutely,
isn't that the
absolutely.
actual realization? It's not as simple as saying
No, definitely.
all men are like this and all women are like this, because even when I get caught up in a male abuse on social media platforms, I sit there going, well, I'm not like that. It's not like that in our house.
No.
And even Emily will have other people talk to her, presuming that she fulfills certain roles within the house. And she sits there going, well, actually, Alan does that, like for the washing. I do the washing in our house. And then you meet other families where the man does the washing. So there's still this
Yeah.
stereotype that the
No.
woman does the washing. I perceive stereotype, of course, but I know loads where it's not like that. So it's kind of, you
No.
know.
No, indeed, and we get, like I said, beauty of this conversation is we can go where we wanted to go. One of the things I'm seeing more of currently is stereotypes being identified as just that, as things that are just an easy way for us to pin things to certain ideas and certain things, so we can move on to the next sort of thing.
But isn't it
But
exciting that they're being knocked down? Isn't
yes,
that because
yes,
then
I
that
do.
allows for, everything fabulous and positive to happen? Because if we're
Yeah.
proving stereotypes wrong, then the knock on can only ever be really good.
No, absolutely, absolutely. The flip side of that is I'm a firm believer that the brain deals better with stereotypes. So once we knock one stereotype down, we just replace it by others. So
Yeah, yeah, because we're meant to like structure and routine and patterns or something like that, I
yes,
believe.
something like that. Yeah.
So actually, a stereotype fulfills the desire for structure, routine, and pattern. But then, the flip side is the structure is there is no structure. So which
Yes.
is a structure in its own way. And once you get but it's true. I was thinking about our kids and their homework this morning, and it was like one of the kids, 7-year-old, was doing his maths homework in the car, right? Why has a 7-year-old even got homework? Doing his maths homework in the car. And then I got me thinking that actually we'd not worked with him to set a kind of homework structure for him, or pattern or routine or whatever you want to call it, workflow. And then I'm like, well, wondering, well, hold on, that's us pushing how we think it should be done on him. Why don't we let him work out how he wants to do it his own way, which may or may not work. If he keeps failing to do it or he's always doing it in the car, then we might have to make a better suggestion. But I just think for every structure, the lack of structure is a structure.
No, absolutely, and you're very there you go. You're talking about listening. Someone is listening. Trouble and strife is listening. There you go.
Yours or mine?
Mine this time.
Oh, right. Wife listening here. Hi, Linda.
Absolutely, and you're very right. It's great to and that's we are going wide range here, which is brilliant, and I love all these conversations talking about parenting. And I love the idea of giving your children space to find their own routine and their own way in there, but also being there to pick them up should they find they need support from to find a better way, or the way that they're designing the ways to do things doesn't quite work. And I think that's the beauty of having children and having fun with them, basically. So you
No, absolutely it is. So I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm in one of these worlds where I can't say this without sounding like a bit of a dickhead, Mark, but I'm quite happy to go with it. But I'm quite happy with who I am. So because I'm happy with who I am and all these other things, I think I always feel this is what then that comes out. But I've got things I could share that may work for others. But then you've got to remember, actually, you've got to let people do their own thing. And, but when it comes to your own kids and you want the best for them, it's difficult because, they need to kind of fail, or no one fails, they always learn and all that other stuff, but they need to do their own learning. But then you go, well, hold on, I've spent best part of 5 decades nearly now learning, surely I can share some of that. So it's finding that balance between sharing and guiding and actually just letting them find their own way.
No, absolutely, and that's definitely one of the biggest challenges. Is you're right. I mean, we don't get to you talk about 5 decades. You talk about this old geezer here who's got 6 decades ahead of him, in front of him. You don't get to that stage without having been through the ringer in little bits and learn 1 or 2 little steps to support how you do things, and sharing that is only supporting and helping people. So I don't think there's a challenge with that. I think the challenge and the problem that we come across that makes it difficult, especially when we're talking about that balance of parent and child, or mentor and mentee, or coach or boss or whatever, is just because you've got that experience, trying to help them unravel the power dynamic so that they can actually take and pick and choose from the experience that you give them, makes it a little bit more challenging. And that's one of the things I think that makes it hard for you to give that support across without saying this is the way I do it because I've done it more than you. I'm older than you. I'm your dad, your mum, your boss, your coach, or whatever. So that's the biggest challenge I can see.
No, it is. But then it's the same in the business. So we sit here
yes, absolutely.
we sit here saying, this is how you do this. But actually, that's not fair to say. That's why we have to go, what are you trying to achieve? What do you want to do? okay, let's work together on making that work for you in the most simplest, efficient way, which is the backbone of what Emily and I try and do as well. And get that, because not everyone wants to go live like this. Not everyone wants to grow a YouTube channel or do a podcast and all these other things that are they're still buzz kind of words in their own right, so therefore you have to adjust it based on what they want, and work with them basically is the key. Because if your kids want to turn out like you, then you share what you know, right? But really you don't want your kid to turn out like you, even if you're happy with yourself, because you think, well, no, they're them, I'm me, it's different. So fascinating stuff always with this, I think.
Absolutely.
Spend too much time thinking about it.
but I think you're right. You can spend too much time thinking about it, but I think you need to think about it, because I think you need to be aware that when you are supporting other people, businesses or whatever, then you have to be aware that exactly what you're saying all the way along here. Everyone's different. Everyone needs the route to Scotland is different. The route to whatever goal they're looking for is different, and it all depends on them. You just know that potentially, if you're going up that way, you might want to avoid that route, or you might want to try that route.
Yeah, or the M1 shut. So
Yes.
take the M6, for today, and that'll be a more efficient route to take. Absolutely. And but the other, I quite like that analogy, because I always think it's the analogy that can keep on giving. The other thing is making sure your car's ready to go, and that's kind of our part. Is making sure you've got those foundations in place, that your tires are pumped up, you have oil and water and whatever else, or you've got the correct ticket for the train. Because that's just as important as how you're going to get there, which is the bit you get to choose. So,
absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. No, and again, I like that analogy, and I like that little extra.
You can have it, Mark. You can have that, Mark. Oh, I haven't even pressed the button. I did not mean to do the explosions. I can do them, but I didn't think I'd done them.
No, I can never get them working on my thing, but so there you go.
Just double thumbs up.
Double thumbs up doesn't work. Maybe my thumbs don't work.
Oh, I don't know. Are you on a Mac? It's on a Mac.
I'm on a Mac and it doesn't work. I've tried. There you go. See, techie, we're going off a bit. Oh no, don't do that.
Well, come on. Where's my rain cloud? There we go. Sad times, Mark. Sad times.
Sad times. It's sad times I can't use it, but
basically nothing else. Just,
nothing else, indeed.
Because it's these little things that bring us joy. I smile when I press my Mac and turn it on. It makes me smile. That's
absolutely. And I'm pretty certain when we all started, we all loved the Snapchat camera, and we all put silly little faces on each other when we were doing our Zoom calls.
Yeah. Well, I had a meeting with someone on Google Meet not that long ago, a couple of months ago, just because they'd launched loads of new filters, and you could be a pirate in space and you could be an octopus, cooking. And we literally spent, I don't know, half an hour just going through filter after filter, absolutely bringing us joy and stupidity, and that was doing business, if we're really being brutally honest about it. We were just chatting away, exploring that. So no, love it. Anything that makes it more fun, I'm on board with. We've talked about it's hard work and serious. So anything that can just add one little dot of fun to anyone's kind of adventure is right for me. So
absolutely, and that sort of brings me to one of the things that I want to talk a little bit about is because essentially you're already giving us a little bit of the tips and tricks and tools that you use, and adding a little bit of fun to your day and to your week is I'm hearing is a little tip that you would suggest to anybody to have a little go at. What other, if you're supporting sort of, what would be one of the most recommended tip or trick that you talk to when you talk to your customers and stuff?
For anything in particular?
For anything in particular, I'm intrigued. One of the things, like I said, we've suggested business is hard, business is difficult. We've also suggested that some people do these things and they come across little tips and tricks, and they have suggestions to do things. Anything that can support and help people get from A to B, or from Monday through to Sunday, we're doing what we said beforehand. Then I'm all for that, for people to dip in and out. So
I don't know. It's a bit like me and my favorite things, colors. I don't know if there is
Okay.
one thing, right? There is not one thing. There can't be one thing. Um, I think my biggest kind of thing is when people put stuff on the internet and it's not working for them. I was
Yeah.
having a chat with someone recently, and I'll get to kind of how to sort it in a minute. And they were like, do you like my new website? And I'm like, your new website's brilliant, it looks fantastic, it's lovely. On a technical basis, you might want to do that and that on the front page, on the home page, but other than that, yes, it looks beautiful. And so then I went, oh, is it optimized? Is it showing up for you? And they were like, oh, no idea. So it's like, okay, let me have a look. So, we were just having a chat like this. So I did a couple of quick things on Google, and you can do site : and then your website name on Google, and it will tell you what all your pages are optimized for. And it wasn't optimized at all. And, that's not the be all and end all, but if you're going to go through the effort to create the content, to have the website, to do your podcast, to go on a video on YouTube, then make sure it's doing something other than looking pretty. And actually, some very simple optimizing is really simple. The first thing you want to do is make sure everything's connected up. And we see this time and time again, where over here there be Alan Braithwaite, over here they're Yellow Tuxedo England, over there they're Alan James Braithwaite from Yellow Tuxedo, and all these different profiles. And Google's having a hard time trying to work out that you're all the same person. So, one tip is to just make sure we share a graphic sometimes. It says, the graphic says alan@yellowtuxedo.co.uk. And then it says email address, website, social media, like that. And it's like, it should be that simple, right?
Mhm.
You don't overcomplicate these things. And then obviously some simple SEO. Make sure there are keywords within your web pages. Make sure there are some keywords within any titles and descriptions for content you're putting online. Because literally, I try and explain it. If it's online, it can be found, but it can only be found if you give it the details needed for it to be found. And if we're going back to analogies, a library is the best. Think about it like this, right? So I'm trying to not bring up my book. Here we go, Gardener's World. So I've got a library. This is my website. I've got two options when I walk into this humongous library. I can throw it into the library, perhaps on a piece of string. So if someone says, oh, can you send me your website? I can pull it in and go, there's my website, right? And then throw it back into the library again. That's online, if you're not sure what my analogy is about. Or I can title it all properly, Gardener's World Fair. I can walk into the library. I can speak to the librarian and go, can you file this in the right place, please? It's for people who like like gardening, who like world stuff, and it needs to go there under that section. And the librarian will go, yes. So therefore, people who are coming into the library, i.e. using Google, can find it. And it's the same for content. It's the same for your LinkedIn account and anything you put on LinkedIn. It's the same for articles. It's the same for blogs. It's the same for YouTube videos. It's the same for podcasts. It's the same for websites. So many people are not telling the librarian where to put it so others can find it. And they're literally just throwing it online and wondering why things aren't working well for them. And we try and explain this to people, that no one is going on to Google and typing in 1234556.jpg, or they're not typing in Yellow Tuxedo episode 5. They're not searching for those things. What they're searching for is for answers. They're searching for a business coach near me. They're searching for online visibility specialists near me, or online, or they're searching for a doctor or whatever. They're searching to find a solution, an answer to their question. And if you put something online, there's no reason why what you're putting online cannot be that answer. So that's the tip. Just make sure what you're putting online is labeled and descriptioned properly with some keywords, so people can blimmin' find all the stuff you're putting hard work into creating.
Brilliant. And you're so right. I'm guilty of it myself. Is putting stuff out there and just thinking they'll find it.
Mark, I had noticed on your YouTube channel. I was trying to work out when to tell you. So
no, absolutely. Well, to be honest, YouTube channel definitely needs. There you go.
Right. Well, that's the point. Okay. So I understand it's not a priority. Everyone should have a preferred platform, right? So, I presume your preferred platform's LinkedIn. Fantastic. But you're still creating this content. It's still going onto YouTube.
Yeah.
So why not have YouTube just working over here for you, working very slowly, because we want to create and generate opportunity when it could come along. And we don't know the name of the next person who's Googling what we do. We don't know who's looking for us. And there's no reason why that YouTube video could not be the answer to their question. And the extra bonus is YouTube's owned by Google. So all your YouTube stuff's going to appear on Google as well. So that for the sake of this live stream that's on LinkedIn and YouTube, just LinkedIn and YouTube?
And Facebook.
In fact, sorry, I knew that. It's on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. It's also on Google, right? So it's on 4 platforms for the sake of you and I chatting for 1 hour. Now we're into repurposing content. So therefore, not only that, you can create your short form format. You can add it into your newsletter. You can add it into blog articles, your social media posts. It depends what your goal is and how you want to get there and everything else. But if you want to kind of own your part of the online world and the world, then these are the efforts you need to go to. But by making sure it's optimized properly, with then it's going to appear in the right place for the right people who are looking for what you do, and then life becomes much more efficient and simple.
Absolutely. Well, true. And thank you to be honest, I came on this for a chat, and great. I've got some support and stuff to do. And you are right. So many of us do that kind of stuff, and so many of us just put stuff out there.
But we're busy, right? We've done this. We're busy. We're time poor. We're all trying to achieve something. But then at some point, you need to adjust that need a little bit, because so one of the things that fascinates me is people putting effort in to achieve what they're trying to achieve, right? It blows my mind. And if one is doing that, then make sure that effort is as efficient as possible.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise, we debated consistency on our podcast the other week, because I got into this bit of debate with Jude from Ready Steady Websites, if anyone knows her, I was talking about you need to put effort in to achieve things. And she said, oh no, you've got to be consistent. And it really I don't think anyone's right or wrong in this particular instance, but what I like is it got me thinking, and I like to be challenged to think. And so Emily and I then had a big discussion about consistency on our podcast. And it's like, consistency is not wrong, but there are so many other factors that need to be put into play consistently. And if we're talking about driving to Scotland again as a kind of ongoing analogy here, yes, I want to consistently drive. But are you consistently driving to Wales? Are you consistently driving to Scotland? Or are you consistently driving to London? You've got to know where you're going, how you're going to get there, what you're going to do on route. Is what you're doing the correct thing? And could you be more efficient? Is your goal to get to Scotland as quickly as possible from Hampshire in the south? But actually, you start driving to Cornwall first. So yeah, you might get to Scotland, fact, but you could be more efficient. And that's kind of where we sit with Yellow Tuxedo. We want to give people the tools to achieve their goals in the most efficient way possible. So that's it, really.
No, absolutely, very true. And I love that the analogy you've got that keeps on giving, which is very right. But to be honest, one of the things I come across, and you're very right about this, most people come to start a business to get that business, to provide service for someone, and get paid to do it generally. Then they don't start a business unless they're in the digital marketing space to be digital marketers or whatever. They start a business because they want to provide that service, and digital marketing is a way for people to understand that that's what you do. And then they get stuck into I've got to do YouTube, I've got to do LinkedIn, I've got to do Facebook, I've got to do Instagram, I've got to do TikTok, so blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden they become digital marketers rather than accountants or whatever they go. And because if exactly what you're talking about, they get into the idea of to drive to Scotland, I've got to get in my car and I've got to drive the car. So I've got to learn how to drive the car. So I've got to be a car driver. And you think, well, okay, I'm driving the car efficiently. I know what I'm doing, but then I've got to think, oh, I've got to also be a navigator. So I need to know where to read the maps. I also need to know how to avoid accidents and blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden,
What
they
if you have a
become,
blowout? Yeah, you have a
yeah,
blowout on the motorway, which could be, that I quite like that for like a lockdown kind of COVID
mm,
sort of thing. What happens then? It derails you momentarily. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So all of a sudden, they become, and yet they know, well, fair enough. What I need to know is I can do that through Waze. I don't need a Google. I don't need a map. I can then start thinking, well, if I have a problem, then I can subscribe to someone like the DAA or RAC or other kinds of people to help me when that comes to happen. So once again, you then start to move around, but it's only by trying that you start to find that you need these other people to help and support you, so you can pull back to do what you wanted to do. You wanted to get to Scotland.
Pretty much exactly that. And you know what, the other thing I like, this really is the analogy that's keep on giving, isn't it?
Yeah, it
The
is.
other thing is, like, with business and driving, you'll never truly understand what it's like until you start doing it. Your perception of a business ownership versus drive, imagine my boys 9 and 7, our boys, damn it, I hate it when I say our boys 9 and 7 can't wait to drive.
Mm.
But I know for a fact that when they drive and they've got to put fuel in it, they've got to service it, or it breaks down, or insert any other driving thing that can happen, it will go, this isn't exactly, or they do 100 up the motorway and get done for speeding. They go, this is not what I thought it was like. Just like business, you think, I'll start my business. I can do this. People will give me money for this. You're right, they will, but you have to find those people. You need those people to want to give you money. Then you need to do your bookkeeping and your accounting, and then once they're giving you money, and then you're not trying to get new people because you're now working with these people. So then you've got to remember to keep doing that. And it's like, oh, I didn't think about all of this when I wanted to run my business. And this is great, right? We do fantastic stuff, all us business owners, or we live fantastic lives, sorry, us business owners. But boy, there's a lot to do and remember and keep us on track.
No, absolutely. Let alone the actual initial task of learning to drive.
Yes.
All of us who drive now can remember trying to cope with clutch control and all these other kinds of things. You have to look, mirror signal maneuver, etc. It becomes a nightmare just to get in the car. You think, I'm going to do it, no trouble flat, and all of a sudden you're stuck. Yeah, exactly.
Very much so.
But no, so yeah, you're right. The analogy that keeps on giving, apart from the fact we haven't talked about trains yet. So there you go.
No, well, I had trains and planes in my head. So
You
like,
did, yes.
because really the goal was about getting to Scotland, and we've just got caught up on the
On the task of driving, yeah.
Yeah, but really, if you're going to get the plane, you still got to get to the airport, right?
Yeah.
You still got to get through all of that, and not everyone, if we're going to labour this analogy a little bit longer, not everyone's going to want to fly. It's not going to work for people. Then there are delays. There are, then didn't Heathrow go down recently because the backup generator failed or whatever? I don't know. So it's still nicely weaves its way into the analogy.
Absolutely, and you cannot kill this analogy. I think it's an analogy that keeps on giving and will carry on going. So thank you very much for that, and I will use it as much as
Go for your life.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for that. We sort of come across a little bit of how to get through A to B, and the sort of things you really need to sort of focus on. But one of the things definitely that I'd really like to get your take on, this very much is stuck in the middle of the week. Like I said at the beginning of the top of this, at the beginning of the week to get through to the end of the week, you need to take a pause halfway through to see where you're going and take a minute. So how do you? And this would be interesting too. And one of the things I do need to talk is to bring Emily on some stage to talk about this as well. How do you keep yourself going Monday through to, as we've suggested, sometimes Sunday, and keep yourself on the road to Scotland? What is it you do?
Well, this is where I think we're all different really comes into its own, because I just get on with it. Like I never quite got this midweek hump day thing, but I just, if there's something needs to be done, I'm a proper, I'll eat the frog at 8 a.m. type person. I just get it done. I'll quite happily get up and just start working at kind of 6 a.m. and things like that. I just don't mind. And we still do the school run. So our biggest challenge actually is fitting all our work around the school run, because we both do the school run morning and afternoon, unless we've got a meeting, because we love it. But really, I'm like, okay, this is my task list this week. Let's get on with it. On a Wednesday night, I have scouts. I'm a scout leader. Wednesday afternoon at 4:30, our podcast episode goes out. Thursday morning, our newsletter goes out. Thursday morning, our Tesco delivery gets delivered. So Wednesday, I have to make sure the podcast is done, the newsletter is done, and the Tesco shop's done, and I'm ready for scouts. And so I just get on with it. I don't know how to articulate that in a much cleverer, potentially profound way, other than I just do it. What was the thing? Now, the bit I do think's interesting in it is, like, I think it's easier to get caught up in the kind of midweek fug if you're perhaps not enjoying what you're doing, or not happy with where you're going, or life's extra challenging than usual and things like that. But I've always just been a work first, play second person. I was talking to Emily about this yesterday. I had a manager once who said to me, Alan, we can talk about other things than work if you want to, because I was just kind of a, we do work type person. And actually they were kind of quite happy to have fun as well. And I was like, oh, okay. I just thought we worked at work. I didn't realize we connected on a personal level. And that's something I've had to learn. But yeah, really, that's my task list. I'll just get on with it and do it. So. But my task list includes life stuff. It's not just business stuff. So
absolutely, and like I said, I'm loving that, and I'm getting that that image from you, and you're very right. There are different strokes, as they say, for different folks, and a lot of different people. And one of the things I like about asking this question is to find that difference, because people have little ways, and there are people out there for whom just do it is the right way to do it. They get up in the morning with a task and get on with it. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And we had this conversation in the Digital Circus community a couple of months ago. There was about 6 of us on live in a session on Zoom, and this literal question got up, and I just presumed everyone just got on with work. And the question came up, what do you do in the morning if you can't be bothered, and things like that. And everyone else was going, oh, if I can't, I put it off, or I just don't do it. And I'm like, do you not just do it? And they all looked at me like I was an alien in this small group, right? And I was like, oh, is that just me then? And they all went, yes. I struggle with, procrastination with this and everything else. And I can procrastinate, but 9 times out of 10, I'm all right to just keep going. So yeah, that works for me. That's me. That works for me.
No, absolutely.
It's not going to work for everyone.
And there are going to be people for whom that is the thing. I mean, there's no challenge with there's always a challenge with procrastination, and 9 times out of 10 procrastination can get into you when you've got your list and you're like you say, you're diverting over to Cornwall rather than going up to Scotland. So you're still generating, you're still doing the task, etc. Other than the fact that you're going to Cornwall rather than Scotland.
Very much so.
Yeah, and but like I said, it's that's what I like about this, is the different ways people perform and people cope with getting up in the morning and doing what they need to do.
Because we're all different.
Yeah, we are all different. I've got a question down here, and Emily just says, and yours a while back. I can't put that comment onto. This is techie problems. I can't put that problem onto the screen like I did beforehand, because she's.
What did Emily say? Sorry,
she said Anne Allen's. She said Anne Allen's when we were talking about wives sitting there listening. So hello, Emily.
Okay, right. Hi, Emily.
Yeah, she's probably in the next door. Well, my wife is next door that way. So my wife's just asked a question, which I think it'd probably be good for you to. Do you actually? Are you? Do you do for your customers, or do you point them in the right direction? Are you, if they have a challenge, are you sort of hands in, I'll do it for you, or is it more like, this is what I think you might need to do, and these are how you can might work to do it, and point them in that direction?
So I would say there's three kind of versions. There's
Yeah,
you need to go and do this. There's you need to go and do this. This is how to do it. Oh, there's probably four versions. Then there's let's work together and I'll literally show you how to
yeah,
do it. And then there's I'll do it for you. So we aim to be the kind of middle two. So
yeah,
depends kind of in the polite way, it depends whether you're a one-to-one client or a community member. So the
yeah,
community is very much built up on this is how you do it, guys. This is how you set this up. This is how you set your email up. This is how you do this. And then they go and action it. Our one-to-one clients is very much working together. Okay, your YouTube channel's not working for you. Right, let's go through and do that. This is how you
brilliant.
optimize. This is how you set it up. This is how you get it working for you, or whatever it be. And we do a small portion of outsourced done for you project work. Periodically, we're pretty fussy on who we work with. So, one of our clients at the moment we do for them is an ice cream company, which, why would you not want to work with an ice cream company? But we do the odd bit of done for you. We try our hardest not to just go, you need to do this, because that doesn't really help anyone. And actually our literal, once again, principle is how to do something. We just want to show people how to do something, which then goes back to the whole kind of being a parent part. I want to tell you how to do something, but actually at some point you need to work it out for yourself. But with people who are paying us money, generally they want to know how to do it, and we show them.
Absolutely,
That was
absolutely.
quite a long answer. Hopefully I got it
No, and I
clearly.
think so. And to be honest, I wasn't that wasn't a surprise from everything you've said beforehand. The impression I'm getting is you're helping supporting them to do the thing primarily because essentially they're going to have to do it anyhow, even if you do it for them. At some stage, they're going to have to learn how to do it, and even if it moves on to someone else, they're going to have to learn how to do it. Um,
Yeah, and we think, even if you want to outsource it, you should still know how to do it, because
yeah,
then you can have the right conversations.
yeah,
And accounting. No, actually, SEO is a great one. We know someone who is outsourcing their SEO, paying an absolute fortune for it. They got a monthly report for it. They never read the monthly report. They didn't know what that SEO company was doing for them. So we had a chat. We helped, and we weren't trying to get them to not use that company. We wanted them to just understand what they were doing and what they were already doing that could just be slightly tweaked and adjusted. And they ended up saving that spend because they could achieve the same goal without spending that money for them in that scenario. So, yeah.
yeah. No, absolutely. And you're right. Being a little bit more conscious about what you do and why you do it is key, especially when you're a small business, because like you
Yeah,
say, you need
totally.
to have that conversation to find the right person to help and support you. If you don't know what you're boastedly asking them to do, then you don't know how to ask them whether they're doing it correctly or to understand whether the thing is achieving the goal that you wanted it to achieve. Yeah,
Totally agree.
very much. Um, I'm conscious that I'm one of the questions I'm looking forward to, because I know beforehand you asked some time to go and get a book, so I'm looking at what book you're going to be recommending, because
Only
and
really because I'm a visual person. That the only reason
no,
I
they're
went and got
brilliant,
them is
brilliant.
because I'm a visual person. Yeah,
And
so
I
it's
and I
like,
love that. And like I said, the little twist on this, and I'm sure you've seen it, is I nicked this very much in the steal like an artist type of way from Tim Ferriss, and I've mentioned this beforehand about book recommendations, because I know one of the things you talked about favorites. When you're talking about what's your favorite book or what's your favorite X, Y, and Z, generally, unless you've really got a favorite, it tends to move like a moving
yeah.
feast.
I don't have a
Um,
favorite book. Yeah.
yeah, indeed. So,
I have some books that are currently resonating with me that I thought I would share. So, um,
absolutely, and that's brilliant.
right. So
So,
my thing is all about achieving and adventures, right? Achievement and adventures, and achievement is always going to be personal to you, because what one person wants to achieve is different for others. So the book I most recently read that fits that kind of blue line is this guy, David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me Now, regarded as like one of the world's fittest men or something. Tough childhood, grew up, bit broken in himself, but kind of fixed that and then achieved some fantastic stuff. And it's a really interesting story, and his mindset's bomb-proof. He is a proper, just get up and do it. But the bit, I think it was the last page or the last kind of 2 pages out of the entire book, I'm thinking, nice story. Yeah, you ran 100 miles. Great. You did this. Great. But then the last couple of stories, the last couple of pages were the bits that really, I went, wow. So if you're reading it, make sure you go all the way through to the end. Because I genuinely think it was like the last 2 pages, I suddenly went, I need to read that again. It was so good. So Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, most recently read Enjoyable. Currently reading and thoroughly enjoying Sarah Beanie. So she's had a whale of an adventure with property in her life. So she's sharing that adventure and what she's achieved. And I like the how they do it and what they do. I'm fascinated by how different we all are and what I can learn from people who are different. Like, I want to celebrate differences, because the more different people are, the more we can learn from each other. So that's what fascinates me by this. So really enjoying that. And she randomly bought a property with her boyfriend, who's now her husband, when she was like 18 or 19. And she even said, I don't really know why I wanted to buy so importantly, but I did. And fast forward, that was her life and career. And then the one that sits me, it's kind of an adventure of days gone by, is John Simpson, A Mad World, My Masters. Okay. But it's I like, as much as I love this digital world, I love the the adventure of escaping, and for me, I go for runs, and I like to go off into the South Downs or wherever else, and just kind of really disappear for a bit and just kind of let myself to think. And I think John Simpson's book really kind of sums up a time of the world where, he talks about his passport got stolen or something. So he had a letter from the UK ambassador in, Angola. And he then spent 2 years traveling on this letter saying, please let John Simpson pass, because his pass. And I just think that would never happen anymore. I think he talks about having dinner with an Ayatollah or something like that. And I just think, proper adventure, but also achievement at the same time. So that's it. They're my 3 books. They will do.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for those great little books. And I love the idea of exactly what you're talking about, learning from the experiences of other people and how they've got through the things that they've achieved, because we've all got a story to share. Which is brilliant. Thank you very much for that. No worries. Thank you very much. Like I did say, I alluded to, Emily, if you're watching, you're on my hit list. And the pair of you together, I'd love to see the pair of you together, because so you get three bites of the cherry, Yellow Tuxedo. So
I don't think anyone wants that much Yellow Tuxedo in their life.
Well, we'll spread it over so they can have a breather in between. But definitely, I'd love to have Emily, and maybe Emily and you sometime in the future to say hi. And it might not be immediately, but we'll see. So thank you very much for spending the time with me.
Pleasure, Mark.
It's been a great conversation, and what I like about this is the conversation has gone all over the place. And I don't know whether we ever did get to Scotland. We'll have to see whether we do.
We don't. Sometimes you don't need to get to Scotland to achieve what you're trying to achieve. Trust the process and enjoy the process. The goal is not always what it cracks up to be. So.
Absolutely. So love the metaphor, and the metaphor that keeps giving. So thank you very much for your time. So I'm glad you have found us. Please say hi in the comments. We, like I said, come every Wednesday. Hump Day for those people who recognize Hump Day. Midweek for those people who, like Alan, just get on with it. I'd love to see you next week. Next week we have 1 week we're going to have to, it's going to be a recording, and I'd love to have that recording. I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. and we will speak to you soon. So have a great second half of your week, and we will speak to you later.